All I gotta say is we're so the Constitution. We don't have a Constitution anymore. Nope. I mean, what the the Supreme Court, Trump, all this, United States of America, 1776, 4th of July, all of it. Whatever we even fought for. All of this and MAGA.
So the Supreme Court basically punted this situation, and now district courts cannot create injunctions. It just relies on lawsuits to go through the legal system. It basically ends birthright citizenship.
President Trump wins again. Teflon Don cannot be defeated. They've tried everything, and they're just failing. Again, the Supreme Court of the United States pulled through today. They finally stopped these ridiculous injunctions by these rogue district court judges. They said they could only issue rulings that applied to the parties before them, not nationwide injunctions. Like, these people are just random behind judges over districts, not over the United States. So it never made sense that they could issue these nationwide injunctions to begin with. And they've absolutely been abusing that authority that they were never granted. So it's about time somebody dang reined them in. Somebody went ahead and cracked the whip. The Supreme Court said, stop all that nonsense.
This morning, the Supreme Court has delivered a monumental victory for the Constitution, the separation of powers, and the rule of law in striking down the excessive use of nationwide injunctions to interfere with the normal functioning of the executive branch. The Supreme Court has stopped the presidency itself. That's what they've done. And really, it's been an amazing period of time this last hour. There are people elated all over the country. I've seen such happiness and spirit. Sometimes you don't see that, but this case is very important. I was elected on a historic mandate, but in recent months we've seen a handful of radical left judges effectively try to overrule the rightful powers of the president to stop the American people from getting the policies that they voted for in record numbers. It was a grave threat to democracy, frankly, and instead of merely ruling on the immediate cases before them, these judges have attempted to dictate the law for the entire nation. In practice, this meant that if any one of the nearly 700 federal judges disagreed with the policy of a duly elected president of the United States, he or she could block that policy from going into effect, or at least delay it for many years, tie it up in the court system. This was a colossal abuse of power which never occurred in American history prior to recent decades. And we've been hit with more nationwide injunctions than were issued in the entire 20th century together. Think of it, more than the entire 20th century, me.
And in writing the majority opinion, Amy Coney Barrett takes a shot right at Ketanji Brown Jackson in her preliminary injunction opinion. We will not dwell on Justice Jackson's argument, which is at odds with more than 2 centuries worth of precedent, not to mention the Constitution itself. We observe only this: Justice Jackson decries an imperial executive while embracing an imperial judiciary.
Okay, they said stop it. The executive authority trumps your little trivial, menial district court authority. Beyond that, the Supreme Court also ruled that parents had autonomy to withdraw their kids from certain school programs or certain courses if they were trying to educate them in ways related to LGBTQ or other things that went directly against their religion. And of course, you got MSDNC, fake news, and CBS, and I mean, you got pretty much everybody, tons of liberals all over the world just crying and screaming about this, because that's just what they do these days. They just cry and scream about everything.
This issue, this nationwide injunction makes sense. We are marking that right now at this high level. And wouldn't that have provided clarity for a lot of people?
Sure.
For the country of millions who are going to be impacted?
Yes, if the dissenters had the majority. But yes, here's one way they could have done it. The majority's rationale is that the idea of an injunction is limited by the Judiciary Act. And so you have to go back 200 years to the 1700s and say, hey, were courts in England enjoining people who are not actual parties before the court? And the majority concludes, no, they did not. You have to have the actual parties before the court. So you can't issue a nationwide injunction because someone in Oklahoma isn't before the court. Someone in Oregon isn't before the court. Therefore, the courts don't have the power to enjoin this activity.
Yeah, I think your correspondent nailed it, that Justice Sotomayor really laid out what slippery slope this leads to. And this is about catering to a very small minority of parents at the expense of taxpayers. The school board approved these books, the will of the voters. It's very undemocratic, it's un-American, and it targets LGBTQ people specifically.
Justice Alito wrote in his opinion that this case violated the family's religious rights because, quote, they substantially interfere with the religious development of a child, and that carries with it precisely the kind of objective danger to the free exercise of religion that the First Amendment was designed to prevent. What's your response to that argument?
My response is that the Supreme Court decided a long time ago that separate is not equal in the classroom, and now is prioritizing the rights of a small group to segregate LGBTQ families. We're in every school, in every classroom, in every community, in every workplace, and in every family. And so this is about pulling us out of that and using religion as a weapon to do that. I have to respond to what I just saw because that totally devalues and disregards my family. My wife and I have two kids. They're 16 years old. When they were little, 4, 5, their favorite book was Mommy and Mama because it was a picture book and it reflected their family. And that comment and those comments say that we're not families, and that unravels who we are and devalues and puts us as second-class citizens in this country. And to me, that's a direct attack on freedom and equality in this country, the base of who we are.
This is part of what the 3 liberal justices say in dissent. We're going to end up with chaos. We're going to end up with a system where if you're born in New Jersey, you might have different status than if you're born under the exact same circumstances across the river in the Eastern District of Pennsylvania, in Philadelphia. And so that's one of the problems here, the practical problems. I think you're exactly right, David. And again, important to stress, the dispute over birthright citizenship itself and Donald Trump's effort to not eliminate it, but narrow it, that's for another day. That, I think, will make its way back to the Supreme Court, but not this term.
And when we're talking a lot about these executive actions, these will likely be able to be enforced in large parts of the country for quite some time. And when you're talking about something like federal layoffs or things they want to do with the budget or even birthright citizenship, I mean, this is something that could deter a lot of people from continuing their fight.
I don't know what the fuck they're putting in the coffee in the Supreme Court of the United States, but dear fucking Lord. Via an opinion of the court delivered by Amy Coney Barrett, it has been decided that Donald Trump can, via executive fucking order, continue with his little project to end birthright citizenship in the United States in violation of Constitution of the United States of America. Okay. And not only that, but they're also saying that lower federal courts cannot stop it when they always have traditionally fucking done so. Over more than half a dozen lawsuits pending are fucked.
How is a parent saying, hey, I don't want my kids to learn about this, infringing upon your right? That doesn't make any sense at all. This is what I mean when I say you cannot appease these people. This is why I say you cannot give an inch because they'll take a mile. This lady just sat up here and said that your kid's not learning about LGBTQ and reading a bunch of pornography books in the classroom is somehow infringing upon her rights. Her rights to your kids is what it is. These people think that they own you and your children and your future. The future of America is the children. So they think they own the future of the country, the future of everybody. And no. It's real simple. Do what you want to do. This is what happens. You give people the power to do what they want to do, but that's not enough. No, they got to get your kids involved to validate their mental illness, their mental disability, their freak shows that they want, all these drag shows and men and women's sports, they want all of this stuff, all these affirmations from everybody. And you're not going to get it. It's never going to happen, even if you try to enforce, even if you try to send people to jail for it, like they're doing some other woke behind European nations. You're never going to get people to believe in what you're saying, to think like you, to comply with you fully, like the way that they want it. It doesn't matter what you do. It's still going to be in people's hearts that, especially being a total weirdo and trying to groom kids, that you're a groomer, that you're a pedophile, and that nobody should trust you, and that they need to go ahead and check your computer and your cell phone and check your cloud, because Lord knows you got something you ain't supposed to have on there.
Breaking news! Breaking news! The Supreme Court of the United States has ruled, okay, in favor of parents seeking to opt children out of reading LGBTQ, RST, URV, whatever books. Yes. Yes.
Now, what does all this mean? It effectively means that there is no longer a tyranny in the schools, you know, maybe on some local levels. I'm sure that there's going to be challenges on a local level. And I think that that's okay, as long as you can't make it where across the board federally, you know, some district court judges are trying to force kids to learn about things that the parents don't agree with. Same thing for the Supreme Court decisions surrounding these injunctions. As a matter of fact, President Trump already said that he's about to start enforcing the birthright citizenship executive order. So effectively, if you are an illegal migrant, you over here having all these anchor babies, it does not apply. And also, now this I'd have to double check because I didn't get a chance to check it before this video, but I believe that the way it was written, it applies to people who were born, I think around right before or around the time the Biden administration started. So effectively, all those illegal migrants who tried to come in here and have a bunch of babies, no. Yeah, you can still get deported. Don't do the crime if you can't do the time. This is monumental. Okay, this is a massive victory. Today was a good day. It is Good Friday today, as far as I'm concerned, because we are winning. The stock market is up. Iran's nuclear facilities have been bombed to hell. You got the Supreme Court issuing these massive rulings. President Trump is doing phenomenally.
Take a look at stocks, record highs here at the open for the S&P and the NASDAQ. First time we've seen that for the S&P since February, for the NASDAQ since December. Intraday highs, just an amazing comeback from those April lows after Liberation Day, up more than 20% since then.
Regardless of what all these naysayers and haters have been saying, everything's been going phenomenally. The tariff situation has been incredible and has gotten us tons of money. People just don't understand that the same old stuff is not going to work. President Trump came in and proved he's got a proven model. It's only been a few months, it's been like 6 months. And this dude is already taking his country, flipping it upside down and making America great again, just like he promised. He's a man of his word. You got to respect it. The haters don't. They're just going to keep on crying and screaming. And hey, like I told you guys, I love the liberal tears. So keep them coming. As America keeps getting greater, these people are just going to be more and more sad and pathetic. I can't wait to hear the cackling hens on The View cry because the Supreme Court made it where a bunch of rogue judges can't run the country. Okay, the dictatorial power, the authoritarian power that they claim President Trump has is the power that they were fine with district court judges having. But since they don't have it, oh my gosh, we have a king. We have a dictator. These people are such freaking crybabies all day, every day. And I cannot get enough of it. But these are just my thoughts, guys. Let me know what you guys think. Drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. I appreciate you watching the Black Anomaly Rising channel. I'm out.
They elected one American president to run the executive branch. Today, the Supreme Court has said President Trump is the one in charge of the executive branch. The Department of Defense, Department of Justice, Department of Homeland Security. That is how our democracy works. Every 4 years, we go to the polls and we elect a president. We do not elect a Marxist judge in a far left city to rule over us. And that's what the Supreme Court said today, Brett.